from Live Free or Die Hard being called Die Hard 4.0. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Live Free or Die Hard, released in 2007. Live Free or Die Hard is directed by Len Wiseman and is written by Mark Wambach, David McCroney, Skip Woods, Bill Wisher, and Kevin Smith. The movie stars Bruce Willis once again as the title hero, John McClane, Justin Long, Timothy Oliphant, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Cliff Curtis, Maggie Q, and Kevin Smith. The movie is essentially about John McClane. Essentially, he's like in Washington now, and he's basically, done with the New York style and the LA, and he's just like trying to just keep track of his daughter and everything. And then, basically, feds want him to go pick up a computer hacker, and it turns out these hackers have basically implemented. They were working on this giant global hacking thing, where basically they're like trying to basically shut down the entire defense grid, computer grids, and everything, and reset the debt back to zero, essentially, and basically turn off the entire defense network and cause like a global scale holocaust of terrorism for the network. And it's a really like intense like idea because they could shut down like the entire defense grid and basically turn off, reset the Wall Street and everything else. And just it's a computer hacker movie, and so John McClane has to stop the plot before it's too late. Um, well, full scale honesty, I did not like this movie for the longest time. Like, I just did not like Live Free or Die Hard because, and it's for the dumbest reasons too. Like, I don't think the movie's bad, absolutely. I think, in fact, the movie has a great story. I just did not like the fact that it didn't feel like a Die Hard film. In a sense of, like, it just felt like just a movie with Bruce Willis in it, saving the day. Like, I just didn't feel like this was Die Hard. Like, I felt like Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2, and Die Hard 3 felt like a Die Hard film, but Live Free or Die Hard feels just more like it's an action movie with Bruce Willis. And I just, the biggest issue I had with this movie, because I love Die Hard. I think Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 3 are perfect movies in my eyes. Die Hard 2, I can see people liking it and I can see people hating it. Live Free or Die Hard, and I know Good Day Die Hard are considered the mixed bag for people. I know a lot of people prefer Live Free or Die Hard. Out of Die Hard 1, 3, and it'd be Live Free or Die Hard would probably be the next one that people prefer. And I know some people even probably prefer Live Free or Die Hard over Die Hard 3. I mean, I know one person that would consider Live Free or Die Hard a better movie than Die Hard 3. And hey, that's all. It's film is subjective. So I mean, you're allowed to have your opinion. I have my opinion. And look, please don't harass people in my comments saying like, "Oh, they're wrong for liking this movie or not liking this movie," and just film is subjective. You're allowed to have your opinions, okay? Just please be respectful to others. That's all I'm asking. And look, I like Bruce Willis in this movie. I like Justin Long in this movie. The only thing is, it just feels like it's like some stuff in this movie is just like that would never happen. Like, for instance, there is a scene where John McClane takes a car. The car crashes into a helicopter. Like, he's going so fast, jumps out of the car. Car hits like one of those pave booths and spins, and then jumps into a car. And the guy jumps out of the helicopter. Like, all that never would happen. Like, none of this would ever happen. This is like fake, completely fake. Or like when they turn the gas lines on and they'll start blowing up, and John McClane and them are just getting to a van that blows the van around. I'm like, just a lot of this stuff in this movie is like so over the top where you have to turn your brain off. Like, there is an F-16 fight in this movie where an F-16 is attacking Bruce Willis in civilian. First off, I'm like, I am not in the Air Force. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I know somebody in the Air Force. But I am pretty sure that a civilian, even if an F-16, this is like the terrorists are into this, they would not shoot down a civilian craft on a highway in civilian territory. That right there would be too dangerous. They would say they cannot do that. They would get a chopper or something. They would not say, we cannot do that. I cannot use an F-16 to take down in a civilian open fire in civilian territory. That is illegal, highly illegal. And I'm sure that pilot would get court-martialed for that, because there's no way that would happen. There, and I'm just sitting there watching this going, there's no way this would happen. Like, there's just and I mean, the movie has lots of good action. Like, there's a lot of action in this movie. And like, I love how the movie opens up with like, they're like all the, these hackers are just hacking for them. And then they put like a virus on there. Because they snuck all into the virus's house. They stuck in their house and put a bomb in there. And then all of a sudden they're waiting for them to die. And so when they put delete, just set the bomb off and kills them. Everyone, all the hackers just disappeared one by one, until eventually Justin Long's the last sole hacker. And so he's literally the ones that, because they have like a network of hackers that work for them locally, but then the ones that don't work for them globally that they tricked, they basically told him, hey, look, if you put your money, we'll pay you, if you just like, you do this. And they're like, all right. And they set the hackers up and then they just killed them. So, yeah, I don't know if they even got paid, but, I mean, but it's just so great that, that opening is intense. And so, and I do like the scene, I do like the Kevin Smith's scenes. Like, he has like two scenes in the movie. And I like that. I like it. I understand he told a great story on one of his evening with Kevin Smith's, and I'm not gonna put it in this video, but I will put the link for it below because it's so long, but it's so like he tells a wild story about Die Hard, his experience on Die Hard 4, saying that like Bruce Willis, like he said the only reason I even got in the movie, he says, was because I literally, he said, knew somebody and like they basically were like, look, I looked at the script and they were he said I was like literally reading. He said for some reason he said he was like just like they offered him like a funny guy role, and he said he started making more jokes and everything, and he took the sides off and started making his own lines up, and then they're like, hey, why don't you come and be in the movie? And that way he worked on like, and so he wrote his own material and stuff, and then of course Bruce Willis come in, and it was a nightmare to be on the set because he was just very difficult to work with and everything, and everybody was not having a good time, and so Kevin Smith, had to in fact rewrite that whole scene that he's in, and come up with a backstory for the villain of why he's doing this and all that. And I thought that was really cool. And he tells a way more fascinating story about it on his evening with that you can watch below. But I really do like that scene, and I like how like it's very geek oriented. I like how when they're shooting out the place, a Terminator skull falls onto the keyboard and blows the building up. I thought that was cool, which that's a nod to Bill Wisher, who's one of the co-writers of the movie. Because I think like 5 people worked on it. I think Skip Woods, which is Bruce Willis's writer, worked on the movie. The 2 writers that are credited in the movie, and then of course Bill Wisher, who wrote Terminator 2 with James Cameron. He worked on the uncredited rewrite in this movie along with Kevin Smith and Skip Woods. And so yeah, this movie was really difficult to make, but I do appreciate it, and it does have a lot. It does have like a lot of cool action, especially like I like how the fight scene with the elevator fight scene where like Bruce Willis and Maggie Q are fighting on the elevator. I thought that was cool, and how Justin Long is like the hacker guy, and he's trying to save the day and he's hacking, and then Maggie Q knocks Bruce Willis out and she puts a gun into Justin Long's head and says, "Fix it now." I thought that was really cool and everything, and I also really like, like how like Bruce Willis. There's a fight scene that involves like the ice, like there's like a really cold in the server room, and there's like these spinning things, and this guy is like jumping around like he acrobatic and stuff, and Bruce Willis just like, hey, this is acrobatic, and then just tricks him and then kills him because of his own stupid over cockiness of acrobaticness. It was so great how he kills him. And then I do like how like it does create fear. This movie was released post 9/11, and so this movie came out in 2006 post 9/11, and it does deal with the fear of the war of terror. And there was even dialogue where the villain who justified, because it's like he's like, look, I told them that the defense grid was vulnerable for attack. He said it's gonna not be long before some another religious nut job attacks this country. He goes, I'm trying to save it by attacking it, to show them that by attacking this country that they're vulnerable for attack. And so he says, and I can fix this entire fix this entire network again. Everything that's broken can be fixed for a price. And he's like, and I think that's an interesting idea and concept behind it. It's like, and he like which they developed, and also there's a really cool idea about how they developed this fail safe where after 9/11 where all of their social security numbers, government funds, weapons, all that stuff is in one building. In which I truly believe that all this stuff there is like a Fallout security type thing in the Washington like that. And it's scary that one day somebody could actually access that and have all of our stuff and just like reset everything to zero. That's scary. And I do like that this kind of plays on that fear and paranoia. And I do like that the movie is interesting and takes a lot of swings. Like Bruce Willis is just like a cocky guy from beginning to end. He's saving the day doing his John McClane stuff, even though there's some crazy stuff like him surfing on top of a jet wing fighter. That's over the top. And I do kind of wish they would have said the iconic line. I know in an unrated cut they say it, but I just hate that the fact that they make it like where it's like, oh, it's PG-13, so instead he's like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! rather than just like saying because it's not R-rated, it's PG-13. But I do enjoy this movie now because at the time I didn't, because it just felt like I really was like, I remember watching this movie as a kid going, I just don't like it. One, mainly because he doesn't have any hair. He's bald in this movie. It just feels like a regular Bruce Willis movie because I'm so used to John McClane has a hair. He has not a lot of hair, but he has hair. And so John McClane should have hair. And, that was one of my three reasons why I didn't like this movie is because John McClane's not bald. He has hair. And on top of this movie has its the action is just unbelievable because like John McClane would be dead like 10 times over by now. But I do enjoy this movie a lot. It's a fun. I could see somebody saying it's a guilty pleasure movie. I mean, it is a really over the top action, but I do think it is a fun 4th of July movie if you want to watch it around 4th of July. Like I could say, you can watch Die Hard the first two around Christmas. This is one you can watch on the 4th of July and enjoy. And in fact, it did come out around 4th of July and it was one of the highest grossing movies of 2007. And I just think it's a really wonderful movie. And if unfortunately, I just wish this ended the series because the next one, it just feels like an even worse movie. And so I would have been fine if this would end the series here. If I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it a solid B. Thank you so much.
Why'd you bring a cop into my command center?
Command center? It's a basement.
Who is this man?